Howdy, seniors. It is already week 4 in our online classes. Hopefully, everything's going well for you. The first 2 weeks obviously ended up being financial literacy. And then last week, we talked a little bit about the government and whether COVID 19 and some of the regulations that the government put on are something that's constitutional. And obviously, some of you guys said yes, some of you guys said no. Well, eventually that would have to go to the Supreme Court. For the most part, it would be considered constitutional because in times of emergency, the government does have that power, but there's always that limit as well. And many of your answers were very good. This week, we're going to go on to week 2, and it'll be about Tocqueville. And we talked about this a little bit before. And we talked about how Tocqueville felt that he liked America. He came from Europe, but he was also concerned about the mistrust and anxiety that Americans had. So, in other words, the Europeans pretty much followed along with their government because they were used to having kings and queens and this and that. But he saw that the Americans were always suspicious and always wanted something from the government only when they wanted it, but they didn't want the government involved if they didn't. And what you have to do today is you have to read through these two little paragraphs, and it's all the same story. And then you're going to end up answering this question. And obviously, one of the questions is Tocqueville stated believed that America, unlike Europeans, looked upon social authority with an eye of mistrust and anxiety, and turned to government only when they were unable to do without it. Do you think this is true? Give me an example of how this is true or not. So, in other words, even what we're dealing with right now, COVID 19, for the most part, everybody the first several days and first weeks seem to be pretty much okay with it. But if you read Facebook and some different posts, even then people were very, very suspicious. I guess you could call it conspiracy theorists in some cases. And the more this goes on, the more suspicion that they have with the government. And you have to answer that question. It says, do you believe Tocqueville was correct in his opinion of what America and the American people would be like? Why or why not? And once you're done with that, then go on and read the 3 pages below. And they're put in a little bit different form because I was running out of space. This is the only way I could do it. If you put too many pictures on your website, it gets full too quick. So I had to do it this way. It says, read the pages below. How can civil discourse help to address the challenges facing America? So, in other words, civil discourse would mean being able to actually get along, being able to talk things out, you know. And it says the respectful and thoughtful exchange of ideas in the search for a workable solution to a problem. Well, you think about it today, is that going on, or is there always sides to issues? And when you're done looking at these 3 pages, there's a little film about civil discourse and what's happened with civil discourse and where we need to go. Do we always argue about everything? And do we always just talk by people, or do we actually try to come up with solutions? And then there's some questions down here about civil discourse in our society. And it says, why is civil discourse so important in today's world? So, in other words, trying to work out a compromise. Why is that important? Why having good manners and those type of things? Why is that important? And how would you describe the civil discourse in America, what it's like today in today's world, especially in the United States? And this is your opinion, obviously. And what has caused the civil discourse that we see in America? Is it all one side, or is it a little bit of both, or what's the situation there that you see? So go ahead and fill those things out and make sure you go through all of it, including little video clips, and then submit it, and then you'll get your points for this week as well. Again, Monday we'll always have our online meetings on Zoom. Again, those are mandated by our school, but also something that I want to do to make sure that we all stay on the same page. Okay. If you're not able to make it to those meetings, all you have to do is give me a call, and we'll talk about it. And then also then you'll get your points. Okay. But that's just something that we do in our class. I hope everything's going well for you, and I hope everybody's staying safe. Make sure you get outside into some of the good conditions, but also make sure we follow some of the requirements and requests from our government and our society as well to do some social distancing. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day.